Get settled. All right. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. I'm going to call to order tonight's school board meeting, January 23rd. Tonight is my turn to give the invocation. And of course, we all celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration this last week. Monday, we were all together at the City of Sanford's Martin Luther King Jr. Steering Committee banquet, which was a great celebration. Dr. Griffin, thank you for inviting us to attend with you. So I thought, since we didn't have a meeting during that week, it would make sense to honor Dr. King this evening. So I found actually a prayer that's excerpted from the book Thou Dear God, which is prayers that were written by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So this prayer is, we thank thee, O God, for the spiritual nature of man. We are in nature, but we live above nature. Help us never to let anybody or any condition to pull us so low as to cause us to hate. Give us strength to love our enemies and to do good to those who despitefully use us and persecute us. We thank thee for your church, founded upon your word, that challenges us to do more than sing and pray, but to go out and work, as though the very answer to our prayers depended on us and not upon thee. Then finally, help us to realize that man was created to shine like stars and live on through all eternity. Keep us, we pray, in perfect peace. Help us to walk together, to pray together, to sing together, and live together until that day when all God's children, black, white, red, and yellow, will rejoice in our common band of humanity in the kingdom of our Lord and of our God. We pray. Amen. Would you all please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll let the record reflect that all school board members are in attendance this evening except for Mr. Bauer. We have some guests with us. Katie Burris, representing the Seminole County Council PTA and the Foundation for Seminole County Public Schools. Katie, thank you for being here. And Natalie Amento, also here representing Seminole County Council PTA and from Lake Howell High School. Where are you this evening? Oh, great. Thank you also for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Do we have any agenda modifications, Dr. Griffin?
Just one, Madam Chair. The addendum for good cause is marked on our electronic agenda by a green flag named addendum item.
Great. Any modifications, school board members? Tonight, Mrs. Almond, you are first.
No modifications, thank you.
Okay, Member Sanchez?
No modifications, thank you.
Dr. Calderon?
No, thank you.
All right, and I have none either. All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda outline?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And we have some recognitions.
Yes, we do up front.
Our first recognition is Jeunesse Kids. Jeunesse Kids recently donated $150,000 to the Foundation for Seminole County Public Schools to refurbish an old school building and create a STEM preschool in addition to supporting the district's Great Start and voluntary pre-K programs. Funds were raised through Jeunesse Kids Expo in Orlando last fall, where more than 1,800 people attended. I'd like to ask Debbie Curley, who is the Senior Director for Global Services for Jeunesse Kids, to come up and meet our superintendent and school board members, and then we'll take a quick photo. You guys, please help me thank Debbie and Jeunesse North America for their generosity and their investment in our young learners.
Board members, tonight I have the pleasure to introduce our three newest assistant principals at our three new up-and-coming magnet schools. The first is Dr. Kristen Sweeney. Kristen will be the assistant principal at Pinecrest Elementary School. In fact, she's already there. Kristen is a product of Seminole County Public Schools, graduating from Seminole High School in the IB program. After graduating from UCF, she returned to SCPS as a teacher at both Seminole High School and Millennium Middle School. At Millennium Middle, she also served as an instructional coach and social studies department chair. She's now excited to be working to help build a new magnet school at Pinecrest Elementary School. With her tonight is her husband, Brian, and her children, Lachlan, Eleanor, and Quinn, those three darlings over there. And I saw her mom, Suzanne Schomer, and I believe her dad, Charlie, was also going to be here. Congratulations, Kristen. Also with her tonight is her principal, Mr. Augusto. Next, I'd like to introduce Stephanie Wall. Stephanie is our newest assistant principal at Idlewild Elementary School. Stephanie is proud to be a graduate of Seminole County Public Schools and a Gator. Stephanie has an undergraduate degree in Spanish and psychology and a master's in elementary education. She is finishing her doctorate at the University of Florida in educational leadership. I know. I'm just doing the drill. With an emphasis in research and data analysis, weighty topics. Most recently, Stephanie has served as an administrator on the ePathways team, working to develop opportunities for all students to find their personal education pathway. With her tonight is her mother, Lucy Heise, and son, Noah, and also her principal, Miss Logston. Congratulations, Stephanie. And our next person to recognize is Carson Stone, our newest assistant principal at Wicklow Elementary School, complete with fan club. Carson earned a bachelor's degree in history from the University of Central Florida and a master's degree in educational leadership from Stetson University. He was hired by Dr. Griffin. He didn't put that in his bio, but I'm saying it here. He taught world history, traditional honors in pre-IB, and the history of Americas at Seminole High School for the first 9 years, and he has served as the IB coordinator for the past 3 years. With him tonight is his wife, Sarah, also a teacher, and his son, Skylar. And also with him is his new principal, Mrs. Herndon, his assistant principal, Ms. Seuss, and Ms. Bonstadt. They're the ones waving the signs. Congratulations, Carson.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Griffin. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Maureen Scanlon, the Coordinator of Instructional Projects in the Department of Teaching and Learning. Whoop, whoop. Maureen earned her bachelor's degree in secondary education from UCF and her master's degree in educational leadership from Nova Southeastern. This month, she began her second year as a doctoral student in curriculum and instruction at UCF. After teaching high school English for 13 years, Maureen began her career as a school leader at Winter Park High School in Orange County, serving as the administrative dean for a year and the assistant principal for 5 years. She became a senior administrator of academics in Orange County and is now looking forward to her new role in Seminole County Public Schools as the coordinator of instructional projects. And with Maureen tonight is her husband, Pete Johnstone, her mother-in-law, Dee Johnstone, and hopefully at some point you'll see them wander in, her son Travis Grooms and her son's fiance Cheyenne Anzaldo. So.
Hey, board members, this evening our focus on achievement is about Achieve 3000. You requested this back when we introduced it a while back.
Good evening. My name is Allie Hilliard, Coordinator of Secondary Education. We just want to first thank you for being so supportive of computer-infused programs in our secondary classroom. So we thought we'd spend just a few minutes showing you the power of one of those investments. This is Kim Menard, our secondary reading specialist.
Good evening. We'd like to start with a short video that we show to the students at the very beginning of the school year to give them a point of why they are working on this program.
We all know strong reading and writing skills can help you get better grades in school. But did you know that if you're a strong reader and writer, you have more choices in life? You can get more types of jobs. You can get into more colleges. In Teen Biz, we have an easy way to tell if your reading is where it needs to be for a certain job. We use Lexiles to measure reading ability. Lexiles are also used to tell us what the reading requirements are for different jobs. Auto mechanics have to read at 1405 Lexile. Judges at 1580 Lexile. Video game designers need 1300 Lexile. Hairstylists at 1290 Lexile. And sports coaches at 1360 Lexile. The higher your Lexile level, the easier it will be to get a job of your choice. In Teen Biz, you can track to a career. Just visit the Career Center and pick your top career, your dream job. You can watch from the homepage to see how close you are to reaching the Lexile level needed for the job of your dreams. This is where Teen Biz comes in. It has helped millions of students all over the world develop strong reading and writing skills. Teen Biz is web-based, so you can log in from school, from home, from your phone, from anywhere. The system will send you lessons to complete. Your goal for the year is to complete at least 80 lessons, which comes out to about 2 lessons each week. Do more if you can, because it will help your Lexile increase.
So as you can see, the video provides relevance for the students as to the importance of increasing their Lexile. Now I'd like to just give you a quick little background of the program. And if you look here first, as we just saw, it uses Lexiles Lexile measures to differentiate for the students. It also provides engaging nonfiction texts to use with the core curriculum, to use with ESE, response to interventions, ELL students, and other instructional models. It also supports our Florida state standards and our 21st century initiatives to gear to students to go towards college and career readiness. All right, so who uses this program in our intensive reading courses at the secondary level? We have our 8th, 9th, and 10th grade students, and in some of our middle schools and some of our high schools, we have it in our content area reading professional development courses. So where do we start? At the very beginning of the school year, the students will take a level set to determine what their actual Lexile level is. After that data has been analyzed, the teachers start the instruction. And we use a station rotation model in our intensive reading courses, and I'm going to show you that on another slide as we move forward. But I did want to point out 2 particular notes. Number 1, students must complete a minimum of 4 articles per month in order to receive a Lexile adjustment. And number 2, the students are working towards receiving a 75% or higher on their first try score. All right, so what does this look like in our classrooms? This is the station rotation model. We start off whole group using the stretch article, which is the grade level article. Then in the middle, you can see these are our different stations that the teachers will use during the rotational blocks. And then we come back together again at the end with our thought question. So here's a sample weekly schedule. Now this looks different across the board at our different schools. And I'm just using this as a sample with a school that may have Monday, Thursday, and Friday where they have periods 1 to 7, and then Tuesday, Wednesday is their block day. So on Monday, that is when they have the whole group instruction, grade level achieve article, and that's where the teacher gives the class the support that they need. They also introduce the thought question so that the kids have a purpose as to why they are traveling through their station rotations on that block day. Sample, we have 3 stations here. One is teacher-led, and that is all data-driven and skills-based. That will look different for each group that she has sitting in front of her. Collaborative, those are standards-based. And then the last one is the actual online Lexile level achieve article. And if you look at the little graphic to the right, those are the 5 steps that the students complete when they are at their Lexile level. The first one is they answer a brief before reading poll, sets the purpose. Then they read the article, and that's where they use their tools. They can have a highlighter, they can use the notepad, very similar to the FSA tools. Complete the activity questions. Then they review that reading poll. Have they changed their mind, their opinion, as after they've gained more knowledge? And then they answer the thought question. Now we get into Thursday and Friday. Thursday, they probably finish up those rotations if they need to, and then they answer that thought question in more detail, and they can start their second article. And that article can be teacher assigned, it can be student choice, and then Friday, wrap it all up, and we start all over again next Monday. Last steps. We just gave another level set in January. We're in the process of analyzing that data right now. Teacher adjusts the instruction, resets the station rotations, and the whole model continues. And then we will give a 3rd level set to get that end of the year Lexile level. We will do that in May. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back over to Ellie, and she's going to talk to you about what are our next steps moving forward.
You have a question before you switch gears. I don't know if any other board members have questions.
I just had one. First of all, thank you for putting this together. When there are rotations, if you're not on a block schedule, how long do you have in each center or station to be able to complete the Lexile or the time at the...
That will depend with each classroom. Usually we have geared the instruction to between 20 and 25 minutes. We want to give the students enough time to complete that article. And depending on what they're doing with the teacher-led station, sometimes that could be a little bit longer than others. Same with those collaborative activities. Those are all standards-based. So, again, it's going to look different in every single
So
classroom.
they would just continue it on Thursday if they didn't
Yes,
complete it?
continue it to Thursday.
So time limit would be, if it's class is only 55 minutes, then they couldn't be able to accomplish all of it, right?
Yeah, you can Friday. Some people call it finish up Friday to wrap it all
Right,
up.
catch up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
So, all right. So you mentioned the FSA, which I think is interesting that you mentioned that it's the same tools that they have to take notes or highlight as they would taking the FSA. Do we know what the Lexiles are of the FSA reading passages?
Well, those would be at grade level. So when the students are working, and that's different per grade, so when the students are using that stretch article, which is in the very beginning, that is where they're at Lexile.
The actual reading passages in the FSA, at what level? That would be a question I'd be happy to ask. Our assessment and accountability team may know the answer to that, and I can get back to you.
Okay, that's great, because I think if we're doing everything by Lexile as opposed to grade level, it would be good to know if we know what the Lexile is of the passage in the FSA itself. Okay, thanks.
But Chairman Lockhart, since we can't ever see the FSA tests, we really, truly don't have any factual data as to what the Lexile score of any given passage is, since it's not transparent. Isn't that correct?
We may be able to get a range.
Yeah, so I kind of asked the question, forgive me, already knowing the answer.
Okay.
But I figured it would be fun to go ahead and have that on record from our assessment and accountability folks. So, yeah.
And we do have an FSA goal tracker report that Achieve provides to us, and that's some of the data that Kim referenced. Once we have established and completed the level set, which our window is through Friday, we will have targeted professional development for our teachers, our instructional coaches, and our ELA reading assistant principals to look at that data, to really target some student conferencing. We look at student kid by kid, and we look at the data to see, are they on track to meet those targets? And so that's what our second semester goal setting looks like at the school level.
I think Dr. Calderon and I are both very intent on making sure that the FSA and its lack of transparency is well known, not just by those of us in this room.
Thank you.
Ask a follow-up
please.
question? Maybe I misunderstood what you said, but I thought you said FSA communicates with Achieve 3000, so.
I did
Oh,
not
okay.
say that. No,
I
I'm
just
sorry,
didn't know if Achieve 3000 was getting information from the authors of FSA that we couldn't get. Okay, so everybody's just guessing
Our
about
reports
this.
come from Achieve.
Okay.
And then everybody takes the Achieve 3000. I know I saw that it said intensive reading classes. However, I was told that, like this week, all the kids were taking the test in the computer lab in a class. Is that correct? Like a 45-minute test?
So we do have some schools that implement a little bit differently, like Ms. Menard said, we do have some classes where they're using it in content areas. And so our implementation is a little bit different at some of the middle schools and high schools. So depending on where you might have been, and I think I might know where that would be, then there would be a larger student population of 9th and 10th graders
Thank
taking
you.
that assessment.
Appreciate it.
All right, sorry, now that we've hijacked your presentation.
It's okay. Yours. It's okay. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank you for your
you.
leadership.
Okay, board members, as usual, our board clerk is keeping me in line, and she pointed out that I neglected to cover items H and L, which were school board RFPs that may or may not have one of us serve on those. And so I don't know, Mrs. Beeman, I'll look to you if we need to actually go back and amend the agenda vote and pull that for separate, for clarifying? Okay. So if the motioner and the seconder would both consent to reopening that so that we can.
I consent.
Thank you.
All right. So items H and L are the RFPs.
Correct.
H is 169, L is 305.
So the FEMA compliance consulting services.
I'd be happy to serve on either.
Okay.
And I'll be more than happy to do L with
Okay.
the liability. Or you want to?
No, I just finished two, thank you.
Okay. So
So I will make a new motion?
that would be great. Would
Okay.
you?
So to approve the agenda with the modification of pulling H and L.
All right, and that
Second
Dr.
that.
Calderon will serve on H and Mrs. Sanchez will do L. Motion and a second.
So moved.
All right, any discussion beyond that? Are we okay, Mrs. Beeman? All right, motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed? No. Motion passes unanimously. All right, back on track. I apologize. Student discipline hearing dispositions.
My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the student disciplinary recommendations from December 11th, 2017 and December 18th, 2017.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I don't have any public comment forms this evening. If there's anyone here who would like to address the board or be recognized, there are forms in the back table. I'd be happy to fill those out and bring them up to the clerk. So if that occurs, we'll go ahead and take public comment, but I don't see any now. Unfinished business or new business?
Not at this time, but my superintendent's report. Mr. Gardner, why don't you come up? This is really a pre-K through 12 celebration or graduation rate. And you did a lot of this work, so let's go ahead and talk about it. Board members, it's page 514 if you're looking.
As you see in the information item, our graduation rate came in at 88.6, up from 88.3. And for accountability for our school grade, it actually will be 89, because when the state does their accountability, they don't use tenths of a point. So I like to say we went from 88 to 89, because it makes it sound even that much better. We're looking at a lot of things to try to improve our graduation rate, and if you don't mind, I'd like to even tell you a few of those things. It wasn't on the agenda, but I'm not bashful in front of a mic. So we are doing some things that we've not done before. For example, the way it works, the state gives us a file, and that file is all the graduates that will count for and against us based on codes. And graduation rate has two avenues. One is, are we getting kids through and graduating them? And we have at-risk programs. We have a lot of things at the schools, K through 12, that we do. The other part of it is coding, which for me is a little bit harder to deal with, because I'm used to dealing with kids and getting them through. But then to say, John Jones was a 9th grader 4 years ago, and he stopped coming, why? And you're going, well, he was a W02, or whatever it is. And that's the other part of it, is to make sure that the kids that leave our schools are coded correctly, because there are codes that are good codes and there are codes that are bad codes. Basically, it's easy. The dropouts are bad codes, and if they're a kid that's gone to another school, for example, in state, out of state, they're good codes. And of course, graduation is a good code. So we get two files. We get a junior year file and a senior year file from the state. So we start looking at the big list, their junior year, and talking recently, and I talked to Dr. Harper about it today and some last week. He feels that they can do a 9th and 10th grade cohort for us, basically internally. Now, the advantage of that just makes sense when you think about it. So you have 650 freshmen this year at your school, School X. Then in June, you can say, we had 650 students that were freshmen. How many did we lose, and are our codes correct? Instead of waiting until their junior or sometimes their senior year when you're going, I don't remember John Jones. Well, the freshman year, you're going to remember. Yes, that student told me he was going to Georgia to live with his dad. You can start making those phone calls and trying to figure out what's going on with the students. One of the things that we face, that we're having to get into a kind of a micro mode of looking, is that we've kind of hit a glass ceiling. When you're up around 90%, the number of students that you can affect is limited. When you're at 82%, to go to 86%, you got some room there. So we've got to look at doing some things differently with our students and making sure that we code them correctly and get them through and get them graduated. Another thing that we're doing is we looked at how many students do we actually need to start moving up. And I gave that information to Dr. Griffin. For example, we're at 88.6, 89%. If we want to hit 90, how many exact students in Seminole County is that? And we know that. How many exact students would it be to get to 91? How many exact students would it be to get to 92? So now we're getting down to the exact number of students, and we can get down to the exact students that we need to see. I have a magic list here that lists every student that counted against us by the code. We can sort it by code and start to look at, for example, do we have too many students that didn't count in our graduation because they are, and this is a code, whereabouts unknown. That's a code that's actually a state code that hurts you. And if we have not a majority, a large number of students in Seminole County that were coded whereabouts unknown, we can fix that. Because that means we just got to start really digging in. And sometimes their relatives are still in the school system. Sometimes somebody will say, you know what, I think I know they went to Duval County, and for some reason the coding didn't match. So we're getting into a much more deeper look at each and every student, because fortunately we've hit a pretty high range. So to move it up now to the next level, you have to really do some intense work on it, and we have the people out there that can do it. So.
Any questions, board members? Comments?
Well, Mr. Gaudreau, I see a great number here. What was the graduation rate from Crooms Academy last year?
It was, Dimitri, I can't remember that. Mrs. Faison, you want to yell that out? 100%. 100%. And it wasn't 100% until close to the last day. Remember that?
I remember that.
And there was a student that we were able to change the code correctly. That's what it gets down to.
And this is just so impressive, knowing that the state no longer considers the GED within our graduate to be positive as well. So we are really saving a lot of students by this individualized attention, so thank you.
Nor do they count our students who go to adult school anymore at Seminole State College.
Correct.
That's kids.
I think what I find so comforting is that we're doing the right thing for the kids regardless of what it does to our rate. And I think that speaks volumes for the importance of each individual student in Seminole County Public Schools, that each one of you who are sitting here care enough about each kid individually to say, I really don't, yes, graduation rate's great, the number's good, but what does it really reflect? And if it means that we are doing the right thing for the right reasons for the kids, then that's what this means to me. And so I appreciate that.
Mrs. Lockhart, I can confirm that. I remember as a principal, I would have maybe 5, 7 students that at the end of summer school did not finish what they needed to finish and were still a little bit behind. And we would bring them back for a 5th year. They're going to count against our graduation rate, but we would bring them back for a 5th year. And usually by the first 9 weeks, we were able to get them through. So they would actually count as a cohort the next year, which was not their cohort. So in other words, it was a bad withdrawal code, graduation code, but they got a diploma, and they were able to walk in graduation the next year. So you're absolutely right. I mean, we want to get them graduated on time, and that's our ultimate goal, but we are getting kids through.
It's important that every student has an advocate, and this shows and speaks volumes that we'll always do what's right for the students first.
I have one question, sorry. Do we do the credit checks at the end of their junior year to make sure they have everything for their senior year?
Yeah, they do the credit checks right about now because what they're doing, because now they're so yes,
Perfect.
They're registering for next year. So they'll actually go through and see what they need, if they need summer school work, and they're getting their classes ready for next year. So yeah, usually they start them before the break and then finish them up in January for students to be able to register.
This way we don't have anybody fall through the cracks and not
Right.
have a class that they need. Great, thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
And board members, the remainder of the items are read-only items, but just a reminder, on the addendum are the policy 5.30 student transfer options that we spoke about at the work session. That concludes my report.
Board members, those transfer options that were in our packet, I noticed that they had a little, from the agenda software, there was a little strip on the side that made them unreadable in that last little column. If there's a way that when we put those out on the web, I'm hoping we're doing that soon, Mr. Lawrence or Mr. Hughes or whoever might do that. I think parents are starting to ask questions now about that, and so we want to make sure that all of those, great. It's a lot to follow. So, any other questions about that? All right, great. Board committee updates, comments, Mrs. Almond.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to stick to things that I did by myself and then allow others to do some of the shared experiences. Seminole Prevention Coalition, the program was Habitat for Humanity, always very informative, and they do really great work. I want to bring to your attention that the Council of Catholic Women at St. Mary Magdalene, which have been here before, provided shoes, socks, and coats for children at Pinecrest to the tune of $700 recently. And they're always saying, what can we do? They want to do that as an ongoing and visit multiple schools in our district. January is Human Trafficking Month. human trafficking awareness, and there were many local events, many statewide events that took place. 2 new members to the VAB, which at some point will be brought here and introduced to you. Lee Steinauer, who the name you may know from the impact fees, and Stacy Barber. And then I'm sure their backgrounds will be given at that same time. Casselberry Chamber has a new president. They just did elections. Kelly Henkel is the new president. I rode in the MLK parade in Oviedo, and we had a really great time. I think it was the coldest day we had, up until last week. Community Alliance met. Seminole Prevention Coalition is going to have another food drop at February the 23rd. It will be at St. Augustine Catholic Church in Casselberry. And Children's Cabinet had Devereaux present on the at-risk youth, kids who are already in the system needing additional support. And that would be my report.
All right. First, thank you, Karen, for going to the Business Advisory Board for meeting for me. So I wasn't able to attend, so she went for me. So I don't have a report for that, but she did. For Seminole Cultural Arts, we have an event coming up on February 10th, and that's at the Mercedes-Benz in Sanford. And it's Heart for the Arts Awards and Gala. So a lot of that money goes to scholarships for our students. So if you can attend, that would be wonderful. Science fair is coming up. I don't have any reports for the chambers, or our next health advisory board is not until February 22nd. So they were off from November until February. So that's why I don't have a report for that one yet. And the Central Florida Coalition, Dr. Calderon and I went to that, and Brevard County did a wonderful presentation for all of us on so many of the things that we're doing already in our classrooms and schools. But it was neat to see some of the other resources that they were getting, and helping us all find some other business opportunities that will help us in our schools. So we're going to all reach out to them, and they give us the PowerPoints that it can share with everybody on that. And then, of course, we had the head custodial appreciation luncheon right before the holidays. I know that we really haven't had a meeting since then, so that was really nice to honor all of our wonderful custodians. I did go to Spring Lake's LSI training. Thank you, Dr. Cummings and Dr. Dellinger, for organizing all the wonderful LSI trainings. I was blown away with everything that they were doing there. It's everything that I've always been taught: integrate your learning, blended learning, put your social studies curriculum, reader theaters, all kinds of fun stuff like that. And so I was really happy to see what they were doing. And it's going to be a great year for them, learning all new things like that, or continuing it. The Eugene Gregory graduation, which we were all in attendance to that, fabulous event. And I'll like to talk about safety patrol. And then, of course, we've had numerous school visits, and the Dr. Martin Luther King parade that Dr. Calderon and I went to in Sanford while you were in the Oviedo one. And today, many of us read at Woodlands for Literacy Week, which was really nice.
Hey. In the Insurance and Wellness Committee, I just wanted to give you 2 reminders. One is that we are urging all of our team members to do our 5 essentials for our wellness with insurance by July 30th. And you'll see those posters within the schools all over this building. And I've already got my points done, so I hope you have too. We have to lead by example, right? And I want everybody to take their sneakers out of their closet and join the ESE team, if you're working here, if not somewhere else, to do the Walt Walk, the 5K, over at Seminole High School on February 24th at 9 a.m. It's a great opportunity for us to spend quality time with our families. There'll be health fairs. We'll get out there and get our steps in, so we're staying healthy, but it's kind of exciting. I think we almost have 1,000 people already registered, right, Dr. Griffin? So this is our first annual event, and I just look for it to be exciting with everybody in this room participating. Central Florida Zoo produced, thank you, Mr. Lawrence and your department, a great video to show the collaborative relationship that we have with the Central Florida Zoo, and on behalf of the board of the zoo, they wanted to say thank you for that, and we're pushing that out for marketing purposes from both sides. And spent an evening at Pinecrest Elementary with our visioning. Let me tell you, it was a very moving evening to see community members, teachers, leaders come together and dream big about how we can transform not only the school, but more importantly, the entire community. We had the architects there taking diligent notes, taking photographs, and when I sat with all of you at the Seminole State College ribbon cutting for the new Student Services building, congratulations, Dr. McGee, Board of Trustees, and the entire team over there. I just got goosebumps thinking that's going to be us soon at Pinecrest Elementary. So it's kind of neat when we really say we are a K-12 and beyond. It truly is. It's seamless between preschool all the way through higher ed in this community at least. Dr. Griffin, thank you for speaking to our Suburban Women's Club this month. The ladies, at least the comments I received, they were just blown away, positive, all the phenomenal opportunities that we offer every single child. We talked about grad rate for every child, but it's more than just a graduation rate. It's the skills necessary to be successful in this world, and we're making the right decisions for the right reasons, no matter what we're being told from Tallahassee or Washington. And the community leadership this month was held at Hamilton Elementary School, and I had the opportunity to spend some time with some of those leaders. And they say every month it keeps getting better, but they can't imagine anything being better than Hamilton. And the neat thing was they had the presentation on choices that month, so they got to see it in action and to be able to walk along the student leaders showing them what they were learning in robotics. The adult learners were blown away, and they were very thrilled with all the choice opportunities we give to our community. And this Saturday was, as Mr. Godrow knows as the head referee, our district-wide kickball tournament. And, you know, we work hard during the week, but it was great to see so many of our SCPS family members out there having fun, too. And, of course, Lake Mary High School won, which happens to be where Mr. Godrow, the head ref's wife, played on the team, just saying, but talking from one side to the other, so we are an academic-focused district. We're also athletically focused, but I was honored to finish the day off in the artistic side at the countywide strings concert. And you need to clear your calendar next year to attend this. I really thought I was in Carnegie Hall. It was amazing that these were students performing at that level. They had a concert just for elementary, then middle, then high. And if you had your eyes closed, you would have thought you were in Carnegie Hall. And then on the fly, we were clapping so much after the high school, the guest conductor says, they must want an encore. And so these kids that had just drained themselves by performing perfection in every way didn't miss a beat, went right on and did an encore, and it was phenomenal. Standing ovation all the way around. It was phenomenal. And it was led at Seminole High School by our strings teachers there. So thank you to all the music teachers and Mary Lane for their leadership in that.
Yeah.
I just have a few things. There's always so much going on. But Dr. Griffin and I were able to invite the new Longwood City Commissioners on a tour of Longwood Elementary and had a great time. Mr. Emmons went with us to show them all of the wonderful things that are going on there. They were very impressed, had a lot of questions, very excited to be able to have all of our different city and county elected officials know the things that are going on in our schools. So that was great. Minnie Cardona, I want to thank her in advance. She has offered to go with me next week to attend Congressman Darren Soto's collaborative bipartisan, I don't know what all the different words were that he used to describe it, but discussion about the students that have come here from the islands that have been displaced by the hurricanes. And so I attended the last meeting, and I really feel that the people who really have the nuts and bolts and know what's going on are folks like Minnie in our district. So I appreciate immensely, Minnie, you being willing to go with me to do that. It's an interesting group. Of course, all of us are coming from different areas of government. It's not all school district related, so there's all sorts of questions about housing and healthcare, and it's all over the spectrum. But I'm glad that at least our students here in Seminole County will have some voice and some representation from Seminole County. We had our work session this afternoon to talk about the foundation MOU. I want to thank you all for the transparent conversation. I know it's a lot. It's very weedy. There's a lot to talk about there, and we have another meeting coming to discuss more, but I just truly appreciate it. It's work that has to be done, and it's not the fun stuff, but it's necessary. So thank you very much for that. I also, as the chairman, would like to make a request of the superintendent. I would like you, and I'll ask if there's consensus from the board. But I think I'm probably going to do it anyway. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to chime in if you would like. But I would like to ask Dr. Griffin to send an overnight certified letter to Mr. Bauer, asking him to reply to the board clerk with his direction regarding his participation in future board meetings or work sessions. And then in that reply, I would like for him to include a phone number or some type of way that we can get a hold of him, whether it be electronically that he plans to participate, however that might be. And I hope that is amenable to the board.
So if I may, something obviously prompted you to come up with this question for Dr. Griffin, and perhaps was it the article in the paper recently and a lot of questions going on in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have all had varying levels of interaction with people, questions from the community, and I think that the superintendent and our board clerk have been told at varying times, not anything in writing, but verbally, that there would be an opportunity that Mr. Bauer might be coming back or might be participating next month or in a few weeks, and so it keeps getting pushed out, but we don't have anything in writing with his intentions, and I think that would be helpful for everyone to ask for that. And I've asked our council if that would be reasonable for us to request, and I think Mrs. Beeman could probably speak to what the board's legal responsibilities and or limitations are with this circumstance.
You want?
As I've counseled the board, it is. Is it on? Okay. As I've counseled the board, individually, it is the board that would have to act, but ultimately, as far as sending any sort of communication out, speaking for the board, but ultimately, it is the governor that would have the authority to suspend or replace. And so in the absence of authority, the question was, what can we request? And certainly we can request in writing direction as to participation.
And I think it's fair to say that individually, not as a board, but as individual members, we have asked guidance from you, and Dr. Griffin has sought legal counsel as well as to what the board's responsibilities or remedies would be in this circumstance, and so we have operated under that advice.
Correct. The board, the school board, doesn't have the authority to suspend or replace. And I've so advised you all individually when requested.
Do you have any other questions or need any other clarification?
I'll have a draft for you by the end of the week.
The sooner the better, I think. I think the fact that we're dealing with public records at this point, Mrs. Beeman and I discussed the fact that anything that we write could potentially become public record before he receives it, and that really may not be fair to Mr. Bauer. So that was the intention of me asking that it be overnighted so that he could get it quickly. So I think
Get it
sooner
done.
is better. Thank you. All right.
Madam Chair, may I make one more comment? I know that it was in the article, and we all read the article, but there was something about committees, and we've all taken on the responsibilities, so the citizens are being served and represented.
And I want to thank you all again, like I did months ago, for the way that you all have stepped up and picked up the ball and run with it. And the fact that we had no idea that this would be going on for this long, I think speaks volumes to our commitment as a team to serving the community. So thank you for bringing that up, Mrs.
Yeah,
Almond.
thank you.
All right, and Mrs. Beeman, you have a request of us.
I do. I am in need of advice regarding pending litigation. We have a matter, Pettigrew versus the school board. It is pending in the Circuit Court of Seminole County, and I am requesting an executive session to discuss and receive that advice.
All right, I think we'll work with the clerk to get that scheduled if it's not already held on our calendars. Great. All right, is there any other business to come before the
I
board?
just have
Mrs.
two dates that I wanted just to mention. One was, I didn't want anybody to forget, this Saturday, the all-county band concert for middle and high school will be at Winter Springs High School, and that's at 7 p.m. this Saturday. And then the science fair will be the following week on February 3rd from 10 until 3 at the Seminole Town Center Mall.
Anything else? All right, this meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.